Hello, today we're going to take a short tour through managing forms in the security incident module. So what we're looking at here is actually our traditional interface that you'll see in many places all over ServiceNow. We're also going to be covering managing these forms within the new security user interface that was introduced some time ago. So with every table in ServiceNow, there's always a default form associated with that table, and that's what we're looking at here. If we go into our options here, we can see though there's actually several different views or forms that we can assign to a security incident, and we'll go through a few of these here during the session today. So just to give you a little tour of the form here, we have things like being able to manage our attachments on the forms. We have our UI actions up here that allow us to take action on certain things. You'll also see UI actions down towards the bottom of the form that'll do things like change the view we see here at the bottom of the screen. All of these can be easily edited either through going in through your configure options in the drop down or as simply as right-clicking on these related links and editing that UI action. So these different forms that we have on here, they can be assigned by role. Maybe you want some users to see a certain view of things, you want other users to see something else. Very configurable from that respect. So if we wanted to edit this form, we can simply go in, go to configure, and pull up our form designer. And our form designer will launch in a new window. I should mention as well, you always want to make sure that you're in the correct scope for those views. Even though the table might be in one particular application scope, the views themselves can actually be in different scopes. So we're in the security incident scope now. When we go into the new UI, there's some things we'll have to do in the new UI scope. So as far as editing a form, what we see here on the left-hand side these are all of the tables, or excuse me, all of the fields that make up this particular table. And we can simply take these, maybe we want to add active out here into the form. I can simply drag and drop that wherever I want that to appear in the form or whatever section of the form that I want to see. I can manage, how many columns we have in certain parts of the form and things like that. And if I were to save this here, we would, see that active show up on the new form. But since we're in here, I want to also go ahead and add a new field onto this table that then shows up in this form. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a choice field out here, and I'm going to give that choice field a name. Just using the little gear configurator and say our really cool choice list. All right. Now I can default this to some some value that I want to always show up there. Whenever you add a choice, it's going to add choice 1, 2, and 3 for you. We'll edit those here momentarily. And I can also make this choice list dependent on another list. So this can be a sub list of some other list. But for now, we'll just go ahead and save this, and then we'll save our form design. So once this gets saved, we can go back to our security incident. We can reload this particular form, and we'll see that not only did our active value get added into our form, but we also now have this other choice list. Editing choice lists is very simple. Just simply right click on the form, say I want to configure choices, and maybe instead of 1, 2, and 3, just click those out. I can say I want high, I want medium, and I want low. And once we save that, then those will be the choices that we have in that particular drop down for that form. I have to reload. Oh, we got our form switched on us here. Let's see. That happens when you're working in multiple tabs occasionally. Okay, so now we see our really cool choice list, and we've got our high, medium, and low. I had mentioned earlier that you can configure these to have dependent choice lists. So if I had, as an example here, if I have different categories of security incident, I can expose different subcategories based on what that primary category is. So maybe I've I more granularly manage how those lists work. And you can chain those down quite a ways. So, as far as, editing this, then there's also another option that you can go into, which is just simply editing the form layout. It's not the fancy drag and drop designer. It's a little lower level, but it'll give you access to, not only all of the fields that exist on this table, but I can also do what we call dot walk into other related fields. So, for instance, affected user is just a reference field into another table where we've defined that user. If I select that from the list, I can expand the reference field, and now I'll see all of the values that make up that particular user field on a different table. And from there I can keep drilling down. Maybe I want information about their department, whatever the case may be. Because all of that data is interrelated, we can put all of that data on those forms. To get back, simply just double click on that top level and it'll take you back to where we were. As well as creating new fields, very much like we did in the designer. We can simply do it here in the editor as well. So we talked a bit about there being different forms for different things. So again, this is the form that we would see in our traditional UI as part of that default view. I of course I want to have a manager's view in here, I want an analyst view, different things. But when we go over to the new user interface, and this is the new user interface, and if I drill into one of our incidents here, there's a couple forms in play here as well. So there's a form here that appears at the top of that security incident. And if I go back into my security incidents and I were to go to misclick there. If I were to go into my new UI form layout configurations, this particular view corresponds with what we'd see here in the new user interface. As well, if I go into the edit record option in the new UI, that's also going to have its own view back over in security incident, and in this case it will be this sys pop-up view. There's a couple others in here that actually get managed through other means, but if I want to change what's on this screen, I simply edit that sys pop-up. Important to note, when you're editing the things on the new UI, you're going to need to change your scope from security incident response to security incident response UI, just to make sure you get the proper permissions in there. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.